So we're back. I just messaged the guest there telling them how to join if they weren't sure on how to join. So we're back here for episode 99 of the Inquisition. As I say, next week we have episode 100. I think so. It's just a chaos show. So it'll just be a case of folk jumping in, giving us 5-10 minutes of abuse or tips, and then jumping back out. So we're looking forward to that. I hope you can all join us. If you have any questions for us in the chat, don't hesitate in throwing them in, and we can. There we go. How you doing, Moonhopper Games? Thanks for joining now. There we go. Yes, Moonhopper Games. If anybody has any questions, don't hesitate in throwing them in the chat.
Here we go. Oh, there I am. Hello, can you see me?
I can see you now, Steve. Thanks very much for joining us, pal.
No worries. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, it's been a busy old day, but yeah, it's been fun. Having one of those nice quiet weeks before the storm, hopefully before Christmas happens. That'd be nice. So yeah, making the most of it.
Cool. We're just waiting for Casey to join. He's always late, but we'll see if he's joined because he usually sends a request. But yeah, there. That's Martellus. Martellus, how you doing? Yeah, I would say that Christmas time is probably ramping up to be your busy time.
Well, we hope so. Like I say, it's one of those times of the year where we just pull out all the stops. And last year we did quite well. It'd be nice to see how well we do this year. So we just keep going as much as we can, and just keep buggering on as most firms like ours do. So hello.
Perfect. So just the first question that we always ask people in the Inquisition is, obviously you're a gentleman who's just turned 25. What age were you when you started collecting plastic crack, and who got you into it?
Okay, right. This is a bit amusing, slightly embarrassing. I was 48.
so like 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, like what happened was I've been eyeing it up for years. I come from a family of model makers. I'm an engineer by trade. And what happened was my youngest son wanted a Warhammer Dragon. So he dragged me down Warhammer in Portsmouth, and I saw this dragon, and I saw the price of it, and I went, no, you don't want to start off like that. You want to start off with something like Space Wolves beginner's set. Start off small. So I said, I'll tell you what, I'll help you paint them up rather than buy a big dragon. Have actually something, where you can actually start learning how to play it. So we bought this beginner's set of Space Wolves. I ended up painting them up, and he kind of got sidetracked, and I carried on painting, and I thought, you need a few more to go with that. And then I got some orcs, and then I got into orcs, and yeah, the rest is history, basically. So yeah, it was not a work avoidance thing, but it was a hobby that just suddenly appeared out of nowhere that I'd been looking at for ages and not really trying to be a grown up. I was doing grown up things, and then I got distracted by the toys when I was a kidult at the age of 48. So that's how my hobby journey started. I mean, to be fair, it started a long time ago, but it was closet. It was like I'd look at them in the shop and just go, "Oh, I like that. I like that. I like the paint job on that." But I'd never actually get round to actually sort of doing it. And then when I hit 48, all of a sudden, caught me by surprise. A nice surprise, but caught me by surprise. And then I started making scenery and all sorts, and started getting into that. Stuff that I hadn't done since I was a kid, basically. When you're a kid, you do airfix models, and you obviously play with Star Wars figures and build your own ships and stuff like that. So I was always kit bashing and things like that. But all of a sudden, as an adult, all of a sudden I found, actually I could do something and zone out, which is nice. So that's where I really got into it, and I rediscovered my painting mojo, as it were. And then from that, lockdown happened. And then I set up Moonhopper Games because I could see where my career was going, basically. So yeah, I decided to throw caution to the wind and thought, a couple of years ago, let's set up Moonhopper, see how it goes. And as my engineering career wound down, Moonhopper's taken off.
Cool. I mean, that's brilliant to hear. So you were into Airfix models when you were a youngster then as well. What would have been your favourite Airfix model when you were
Ah,
younger?
now that's interesting actually, because a lot of people would say the Spitfire, which is fair enough. My granddad had a one in 48 Messerschmitt ME 109, which I meticulously built as a 9-year-old. A big thing, it was quite big. But my absolute favourite, believe it or not, was Captain Scarlet's Angel Interceptor. They had one of those, and I built one of those when I was about 10 or 11, and I thought, the swept wings and everything, very futuristic. Which is really funny because when I actually built the thing, I hadn't actually seen Captain Scarlet. They didn't repeat it till I was about 15. So it was about 5 years before I actually saw it in Captain Scarlet, on Captain Scarlet, doing its Angel Interceptor type thing. So, yeah, that was my absolute favourite, purely because of the sleek lines of it and the futuristic, the neo-futuristicness of it. It was beautiful.
Oh, I think we might have lost Dunk there. There you go. Yeah, that's fine. Sorry, I'm Katie, by the way. I'm the other half of the Inquisition.
Hello.
We've been chatting to Dunk online. So you've gone from engineering into all of a sudden setting up your own store, your own business, and going hell for leather for it.
Yeah.
When we have people on who make huge career choices like that and jump into hobbying as a career from something they've loved, how did that feel to you? Because, it's one thing for, us doing this as something to zone out with and just forget about life with for half an hour every now and again, to then making it what you're doing every day for 7 days a week. It's a bit of would you say it was a bit of culture shock for you, or?
Yes and no, because first and foremost, from my old style of business, engineering, I still do engineering.
Okay.
But I do it small scale now rather than large contracts. The contracting sphere is dead, basically. So I do small hit and run jobs for people. I'm still an engineer by trade, but with Moonhopper, what I do is I do partially the creating side. I've got weird divide between my hobby life and my work life. So what I do with Moonhopper is I'll help develop the products, but I don't use them at work. I keep my hobby life separate, so there's always that divide. So I don't lose the enjoyment of the hobby. Most of the creative stuff that I do, when I do it, is for my own benefit and enjoyment. But what happens is the girls actually do all the creative stuff. I say to them, right, okay, build me a tree or build me a rock, and then they go and build it, and I'll say, right, we use our materials and stuff to build it. And that's how, and then they do all that sort of creative stuff. Charlie, our paint pixie, just does some amazing work with our materials to show them off. And my wife, who also works for me, Rachel, she paints miniatures. She's an artist by trade, so she's a commissions painter. So she's very much into the detail. So yeah, check out Mooney Hopper 000 and Paint Pixie Free, and you'll see what they do. But they're the important part of Moonhopper, without which the rest wouldn't function really. I'm more the business from Moonhopper's perspective. I'm more the business side of things, but I do maintain that I need to keep the hobby work-life balance separate. So when I do my hobby stuff, I do it at home. But when I'm at work doing the Moonhopper stuff, it's basically generating sales. It's doing all the grown-up stuff. So I generally tend to keep that. Yeah, it's not hard to grasp, but it's hard to explain sometimes.
Yeah, I understand that. It's the old saying, never mix business and pleasure, and you're making sure that you're being strict to that rule, isn't it?
Yeah, I am being very strict to that rule. But it's I love what I do, and I love doing it. But when I'm at work, it's okay. That's how can we get these sales up? How can we make the most of the products and stuff like that? It's. I'm focused more towards the customer than my own enjoyment. Whereas when I'm at home, I'm focused purely on my enjoyment. So that's the way I look at it. It's the hobby work life divide's got to exist. Otherwise, I wouldn't enjoy it, and I wouldn't be able to do it. And I think Moonhopper would suffer as a result.
Fair enough.
So I'm just going to bring it back to when lockdown happened. So you were just painting minis. Did you play many games? Were you interested in playing, or was it just the pure aesthetic of painting that grabbed you?
I was painting. I was interested in playing games, but of course, lockdown screwed everything up for everybody. So nobody was playing. Well, very few people were lucky enough to play games. Me having recently started, I knew a couple of people involved in the industry. In fact, one of them, Ryan King, he runs the Warp in Havant, and he pretty much started at the same time we did, except he's gone from that to that. He's gone absolutely stratospheric, but that's because he's got a bricks and mortar shop. And he started pretty much in his shed, and then moved to a grotty little premises in Lee Park, which he was there for about 6 months, and outgrew it very quickly. And now he's in the Meridian Centre in Havant in a nice shop, but he's going to move to one next door very soon, which is twice the size, and have a lot more tables. And his growth has been extraordinary. It's been wonderful to watch. So I'm really pleased for him. But yeah, it's the hobby around here. It's just exploded in the last 5 years, especially since lockdown. I think it's probably because people need it more than ever now. They need that sort of release.
We discuss this all the time, and would you say as well it's because there's a lot of older players, a lot of gentlemen and women our age who are in their mid to late 40s who maybe have their kids have grown up and now they've got a few extra adult pounds that are coming back, and maybe they've got their kids involved. Do you see a lot of that as well?
We do, yeah. In fact, at the weekend, I'm in Sheffield, of all places. I went up to Harrowing in the North, which is run by a nice bloke called Tom Davis. And it was basically a games convention. It had Warhammer, it had a number of other games, and it was such fun. But all of us, gentlemen of a certain age, it's quite amusing. Basically, people like us, and it was such fun. It really was such fun. I mean, Sheffield. I don't know. Have you ever been to Sheffield?
Once in a long time ago.
Yeah. I was looking for a traffic warden with bandages on his face. But I couldn't find that. It hasn't changed much since then, to be honest.
It's still a bit bombed out, yeah.
Well, actually, no. It's levelling up's happened. I think they've just forgotten to tell the population. It's a very peculiar place. Probably going to get into trouble for that.
All right.
Yeah, Sheffield. No, the people were nice. The people that I was playing with, absolutely excellent. One of them was Chris from the Dark Days. Is it Darkest Days Radio? And he was absolutely brilliant. We played a game with him for about 2 hours. And then there was another guy called Roderick, who obviously is a professional games master, and we did the Battle of Middenheim, or reenacted it. But he didn't tell us how they liberated the temple roof originally. So we had to sort of figure it out. And then he told us afterwards how they actually did it. And I won't spoil it for anybody, but it's hilarious. But we spent 2.5, 3 hours playing, trying to get the roof off this temple. We were just in absolute hysterics. I died at least twice, which was quite funny. Not my most dignified of moments, but hey, I enjoyed it immensely. Definitely do it again. So if you're ever in Sheffield, in a month's time, Tom's running a thing called ferretcon, cool. And doing another one in February as well, which he's hoping to run with zombies. That'll be the theme for FerretCon. But Harrowing in the North was exceptional fun. Keep an eye out. I'll post the link afterwards on here so people can find Tom. He's on Reddit. He's not actually on Instagram or Facebook. He's not big on that, but he's on Reddit.
Tell him to get on Instagram. That's where all the cool kids hang out like us. Apologies if I'm jumping on and off. My dog has been sick, so I'm I was getting out the back door, and she was looking at me. I'm like, right, okay. So apologies for jumping off and on there. I was just helping my German Shepherd out.
It's
He's
all right. I've
everything.
recently acquired a kitten, so we've got a similar sort of situation in reverse. It's like trying to pull him off the curtains, trying to get him out from underneath the sofa, trying to get him off your leg when he's climbing up a bit, looking for bits of paper to attack. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
See, this is the thing. People ask me if I'm ever going to get a pet. My 6-year-old does all of that sort of stuff combined. I don't need an animal in the house. He woke me up at 3 o'clock this morning and he kicked the bedroom door open and I just heard it. I'm like, oh, here we go. What's he want now? And he's gone straight for my wife because she sleeps nearest the bedroom door. And I was like, Oscar, no, come here. What do you want? I've got a nosebleed. And it's just claret pouring out. And I was like, oh, for God's sake. You've got it all over the carpet now. I'm going to drag them into the bathroom. It's like, I don't need animals throwing up or tearing stuff down in my life.
So what was the how big the decision was it then to make Moonhopper games? Like what was the madness and the logic behind that?
Right, there wasn't so much madness behind it. I started it because I thought, well, let's see how far we can go. It was I sort of saw a few things were in the hobby sphere, as it were, where people were being rooked for the products they were buying. So I thought, that's not good. I mean, people are buying little tiny bags of rock for about a tenner. I won't mention any brands. You probably know the ones I'm on about. And I'm thinking that's ridiculous. So what we did was we basically developed our terrain pots, and very carefully, me and Charlie and Rachel selected the mixes for them and worked out how to do them and developed them, and then I developed the packaging and that, and found the price point and thought, well, we can do this 3 times as much for about half the price. So that's why we went. We thought, well, let's make it hobby centric rather than finance centric. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do in this hobby a lot cheaper. So we decided not to be a budget brand, but to be a cost effective brand, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So, people, some people will spend stupid amounts of money on miniatures, and that's a given. But when I was in Sheffield the other day, I was actually talking to a school teacher, and there is actually a massive divide in one of the Warhammer clubs that he runs. Sorry, I can't use the word Warhammer. Sorry, it's Wargaming Club, because he's actually banned Warhammer because of the haves and have-not syndrome.
Yeah.
Because he's got two sort of discrete groups of children: those that come from an affluent background, i.e., the university or industry, that parents have got jobs. And then there's the deprived kids who've joined the club to be included and to play, who can't afford Warhammer because it's outside their price mark. So it sort of generates resentment. So yeah, I can see why some people are veering away from brands like that, because they're maybe overpriced. What we've aimed to do is give a decent product for a decent price at pocket money prices without sacrificing quality or quantity, and that's the way we've gone forward.
But the thing is, you're not just doing terrain; you're doing paints as well. So was that the old Trouble and Strife that develops that for you with her artistic experience?
Actually, it was a bit of both. It's both both my wife and my sister-in-law who works for me. So Charlie, the paint pixie, is actually my sister-in-law. So the paints are actually my idea, because I was mucking around with paints and textured paints, because I bought some of the a certain brand of textured paint for a certain brand of figure, should we say. And I saw their textured paints and thought, yeah, they're okay, but I could probably do better ones, which was probably a bit of an arrogant assumption. Anyway, I went away and thought about it, and I had a word with Charlie, and I said, well, can we produce a comparable product? And she's actually got a bit of nous and has experimented lots as an artist herself. So we sort of started mucking around with stuff, and then it was a question of trying other things and thinking, well, actually, we know how this stuff's developed. How can we make it perfect, or as near perfect as we can? So we kept mucking about, and believe it or not, in my hand here, is the very first pot. I know it looks terrible, doesn't it? Is the very first prototype of a moonhopper paint. And it says Psycho Lavender on there. It's actually got white paint in it, but it was the jar, the labelling, how we were going to go about it, and the feel and look and feel of it. And that's when I realised actually no, we can probably do it. And that was the middle of 2021. And then we
Right.
developed our technical paints and our glazes, and then about 6 months later, I developed our base paints and our glow paints, and Charlie refined my recipes and did the other bits and pieces that needed to be done, like actually making work, things like that. So yeah, it was a journey, but once we got it right and we could say actually no, let's go with it and market them, that's really when the fun started.
And with a market so saturated in paints, how have the paints been received by the people that use them?
They've loved them. I can honestly say that, hand on heart, once we got a customer, we generally tend to keep them. You know, once we got a customer on board, they come back, which is excellent. That's all a business. Yeah, that's what a business wants: repeat customers. It's the journey though. From I mean, B2B, business to business selling is fairly straightforward. Business to customer is an art. And that's taken a long time to get the hang of. And as far as I'm concerned, we're still novices. We're still trying and working out how to invite the customers in, say that buy our paints, you know, or buy our grasses or buy our terrains and stuff like that. Once we got them on board, brilliant. But I'm really pleased actually. We got a loyal customer base. And that they tell their friends, you know, try this and try that, and they rate us on Trustpilot 5 out of 5, which is it's really heartwarming. But it is a slog. Anybody who gets into this game thinking it's going to be dead easy, it is not. And that's the real challenge. That's the real challenge. Is you like you say, sell into a saturated market. You've got to have your own. You've got to have your own. You know, what's your selling point? You know, what is your reason for being there? What is your reason for people buying your paints? And like I say, ours is, we think we've got a high quality product. We'd like to think so. Other people do think so, which is nice. And that we've developed it with wargamers in mind. We've not gone in blind and gone, oh, let's just dead about it. No, we've actually thought about what we're doing, how it works, how it's applied, how it would look, and we've looked at it in detail. And before we've even launched it, we've gone, okay, people might like it, and we've actually tested it out with people. We've said, here, try this. What do you think? And not until we're happy and they're happy does it get released. Sure. So we've actually thought long, deep, and hard about all the products that we do.
It's actually quite interesting listening to you discuss that, because we have had, you know, some of the, not to blow our own trumpet, we've had Duncan Rhodes on before, obviously talking about how the process he went through developing his paint range. Quality assurance in this has got to be quite a big deal, because it's not only just making sure the paint's got the right consistency and all of that. It's as you say, at the end of the day, making sure your customers are happy with it, making sure you're happy with it. What sort of process do you guys go through, if you don't mind explaining it, when you've got an idea of, right, here's product A we want to do, how do we get that rolling?
Right. Two things. We've got a double blind test. Is one, I'm like an excited puppy once we develop something. I go, yeah, that looks really good. Yeah, we'll do that. And Charlie's the more level-headed one, who's the paint pixie, who actually develops the paints, and she goes, they don't work right. Let's try again. So it goes through, usually when we develop something, it goes through several iterations, and she tests and tests and tests. And then when we get it right, we've got like golden pot, as it were. We do keep samples of the original, so we got a baseline model of each paint, so we know that it's right, it's the right color, it's got the right flow, it's got the right consistency, you know. And there have been times when we've literally rejected batches of paint because they just weren't quite right. We won't let anything get into the wild that we think's iffy. So that's one of the things we are very keen on. You know, even down to if a label's slightly scratched, you know, that is a biggie actually. You know, it's like people when they get a pot of paint, they don't want to see some scruffy thing like this where it's been scratched to pieces. This was actually printed at home. This label, we actually get them printed properly these days. But we, you know, people when they get a pot of paint, they want to see something brand spanking new, pristine, ready to go, and then they can just open it and go pop the brush in, and off they go. And they want a perfect result every time. And I'd like to think we can guarantee that. Nobody can guarantee that, but I'd like to think that we've got it right, and people like what we do, and people are coming back for that reason.
Cool. And I think there's a couple of questions in the chat I'm going to get to in a second because our guys are getting very interested in this. But you've mentioned a couple of times there, obviously your wife, your sister-in-law work for you. Do you feel like, as you are sort of small scale and family driven, that it's something good that you can all focus on and work together? Does it feel like you've, you're not just making pots for the sale, but you're actually putting a little bit of your heart in it almost?
Yes, yeah, definitely. It's a lot of it is we actually do care about what we're doing. We care about the hobby. I mean, I'm very keen not just to promote the paints, but also it's the well-being aspect of it.
Yeah.
I mean, very recently, I was hospitalised. I had an incarcerated hernia, which is not fun. Basically, my stomach popped outside the hernia and made me quite unwell for a while. So I had to lose weight and have an operation. I'm fine now.
Good to hear.
But it makes you appreciate things all the more. And having seen some of the journeys that some of my friends have gone through, and how much the hobby's actually supported them in terms of mental health and well-being, it's much more than just a hobby. Yeah. And that's where you've got to approach it. It's not just a lifestyle. It's not just a product. It's not like a can of baked beans. This is something that matters to people. You know, so you've got to get it right, and you've got to be able to say to them and look them in the eye and say, you know, I hope you like our products. What can we do better? And that's the way we like to approach it. It's like, what do you want to see? How do you want to build a base or build a bit of terrain? And we're very keen on customer stories. If they've done something that blows us away, we will shout it out. We will put it out there and say, "Oh, look what this guy's done." And he may have used our paints or our bases or our rock pots or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's their piece of work, and we're very keen to promote that because people are genuinely proud of what they do, and they should get a shout out. Yeah, it's not just about what we do; it's about what they do is first and foremost the most important thing, and that's what we're here to facilitate.
I must say though, people do care about their baked beans. I'm a one brand. I'm a Branston beans man. Anything else is I can't. I just can't have any other beans. I've tried. I've even tried putting Worcestershire sauce in the beans, but no, I'm a Branston bean man through and through.
Heinz has been nerfed since they took salt out of it, in my opinion, and the tomato soup, and the tomato soup, and the macaroni cheese. It hasn't tasted the same since they removed all the extra salt.
I think my boy
I actually make my own soup into macaroni cheese now because it's so much tastier when you make it yourself.
Oh yes.
Show offs.
I know.
Look at us. I can't cook for shit, and you lot are going on about, oh, I can make this.
So
we've got two questions in the chat then. First of all, we'll go back to Graham, aka Eop Painting, who's one of our regulars and a favourite of us. He's asked, what's your favourite product you've produced?
Oh God, the favourite. I like doing the grasses, but technically they're a pain to manufacture. I'll be honest. The grasses are fun, but the way we do it, obviously, it involves electrostatics, and if you get that wrong, you know it. You know it hurts. My favourite one has to be Hurdy Verdigris. Not least because it sells so bloody well. It's basically a verdigris paint, and you basically just dry brush it onto metalwork or whatever, and it actually looks like, verdigris. It actually looks properly weathered. It's brilliant. It's nice and simple. It just goes, wipe it on, and there you are. You've got instant wear and tear. The one that I really like, but is slightly more difficult to use, is pyrite, which basically it's like a fool's gold product. It's got gold flecks in it. What you do is you paint it on, and then what you do is you get a wire brush and you basically scrub over it once it's dry, and it brings out the gold flecks. So it actually looks like iron pyrite. So that one Charlie's particularly proud of, I know, because the effect when you get it right is just beautiful. It absolutely shines out. But yeah, a lot of, I'm proud of both, our products in general. Some of them more than others purely because they are so left field.
Yeah, definitely. It's the ones that stand out always will be the ones that you are sort of look at and think, yeah, that's worked. Yeah.
That's the ones.
Next question is, I'm going to probably murder your username here, fella, and I apologise, but Ian HT Bowser, who I think HT maybe stands for half time. What bases do you do? Because you've mentioned those.
Bases. We sell the generic ones. Everything from 28 millimeters to 75 and 90 millimeter oval ones. We also do Legend games bases, which are resin ones. We do everything from the skull based ones, which are beautiful. I mean, they're not ours. We sell them.
Yeah.
But Legend Games, I don't know if you've ever come across them.
Yeah.
No. They're a brand. I think they're based. Where are they based? I can't remember where they're based, but they are made. They're proper resin bases, and the detail on them is extraordinary. I mean, we sell skull bases, we sell terrain bases, and other bits and pieces that they do. But the sheer level of detail on them is equal, or if not superior, to anything that a certain well-known brand can do. So yeah, I thoroughly recommend Legend Games, in particular, buying them from our shop. That'd be nice.
No, well, we have had a few guys in the chat saying that they would definitely be giving you guys a look out after the show, so do not worry. You probably have some custom coming your way, and if that's the case, our job is done. Graham's come back in again, and obviously mentioning companies of specific names and stuff. Do you have aspirations on growing your business to be as large as the well-known companies, or is that your idea of a nightmare?
Given the way that company is currently going, I should imagine it is a nightmare. It would be nice. I mean, I have to say, I've got a love-hate relationship with the company in question. On the one hand, I absolutely adore their products. I love them. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I spend my weekends painting their stuff.
Yeah.
You can't fault the products themselves. The pricing of them is a bit of a moot area. I can see why certain things are priced the way they are. I can see what they're trying to do. It's not called plastic crack for a reason. I mean, I'll be honest. I've got tons of the blooming stuff. I mean, I can't fault their products. Their business model. Well, it's obviously worked. I've spent certainly quite a bit of money with them, and I've been to Warhammer World, which I just became an overgrown schoolboy last year, and I'm going to be back there next week. Yeah, it's from a corporate point. I don't want to be corporate.
Okay.
I'd rather be a small business that looks after its customers. Like when you were kids, used to go into a proper sweet shop with a proper salesperson there with proper Arkwright jacket, And it doesn't matter how old you were, he'd say, "Yes, sir. What would you like? Would you like? We've got some custard creams over there. We've got some cola cubes. Would you like what's today, sir? Thank you very much." Yes, uh, that's what we aspire to be in the hobby realm.
Yeah.
Customer service is king. We aim first and foremost. Doesn't matter about our product so much, but getting that bit right. People, if they want our products, they want decent service to go with it, and that is more important, in my opinion, sometimes than just giving them a decent product. Customer service is king, first and
Yeah.
foremost.
So
That is lovely to hear. That is, sorry,
yeah,
Duncan. We, like I say, we've had lots of smaller scale game shops on who are very sort of local community focused, customer focused. So
Yeah.
for a manufacturer, that's what you are, to have the same approach, it's refreshing. And I suppose what's the word they all use nowadays? Holistic, I think would be the best way of describing it.
It's probably an overused word, but yeah, it's an
Yeah.
accurate one. I mean, at the end of the day, we're here to service the hobby, and if the hobby dies, we die with it. We do a lot of work with, like I say, local game stores like Warp and the new one in Chester called the Games Workshop. Is it Games Workshop? Not Games Workshop, the Games Room. Sorry, TGR.
I'd say that's a bit
Um,
close.
oh no, yeah, sorry. So it's on the cuff. TGR Chester's opened recently, and I went there the other week, and a brilliant setup. At the end of the day, we've got to look after the bricks and mortar shops, because if they go, we go. And at the end of the day, people need the hobby, and they need that sense of community. This hobby wouldn't survive without that sense of community. We've got to nurture it. We've got to foster it. And we just got to keep it going, especially from a younger age. I mean, I know a certain, should we say, schools program was recently killed, and we've stepped partly into the gap for that because we thought it was important. We may not be able to offer the same level of services, should we say, the former company did, but it's the fact it's the gateway into the hobby.
Yeah.
It's important that teachers have that resource.
I must say you've been the most PC guest we've been on here by not mentioning company names, because we are flat out naming and
Well, now how
shaming
much trouble I
people.
can get into.
I know. Well, we're always getting in trouble. I mean, Graham asked a brilliant question about your most product that you're happy with. What's your biggest disappointment? Because we've got to have the yin to the yang. So what's your biggest disappointment, or the product that you thought would work that just didn't?
Right, now that's an interesting one, actually. We developed a Fomex jig, and we still sell them. We just haven't printed any for a couple of years. Basically, I don't know if you've ever used Fomex. It's a lovely product. You can make boards out of it, so you can paint on them and build them up with terrain and stuff like that. And basically, this is again a prototype sitting on my desk. That's all it is. It's a triangle with basically holes in it. You can drill holes in and put magnets into the board, so the Fomex boards all line up. Dead easy to do. 5 minutes. Pop that on a corner, line it up, put your little hand drill through, wiggle, 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 take it away, pop the magnet inside, put a bit of glue in, let it settle, and you can join the boards together. Easy. Like that. Doddle job. Trying to market that to people, different kind. Here's a plastic. Do you want to buy a plastic triangle? No. So yeah, we still sell them, and we've still got stocks of them, but yeah, that one could have done better. You won't. This is the thing about product development. Sometimes you'll hit gold, and sometimes you'll hit dirt. And this one, bless it, no old rubbish. I'm not trying to say that, but like I say, we still sell them. They're useful, but it's a lot of people probably have got better solutions. We came up with a cut price budget one, and for some reason it just didn't take off. It's one of those things.
So, I mean, your paint pots remind us of the old GW Citadel paint pots. what was the logic behind the paint bottle? Because a lot of people prefer the shaker bottles. What was the logic with the top open bottle for yourselves?
Right, it was twofold. One, we do actually have little silicon balls in there, so when you shake it up, you can actually feel the balls, as it were. Sorry. Um, give them a, like I say, give it a good shake, and you can actually mix the paint up, which is makes life a lot easier. Um,
For you or the wife? That's the main question.
Hey.
but the other reason was technical. We wanted a decent bottle. We tried actually getting dropper bottles, and we did develop a dropper bottle version. But we found it was too awkward in some respects. And this, a lot of people do prefer the old Games Workshop bottles. I mean, it does resemble the old Games Workshop GW bottles of old, and I think there's another brand very similar to ours that uses these bottles as well, but they use a glass one. These are actually PETG, which is it's nice, and it's a reasonable price bottle from a manufacturing point of view. So that was one of the reasons we chose it. It's cost effective. You still get the same amount of paint, but I mean, it shows also that the paint will last a long time, because that prototype's been there for over 4 years, nearly 5 years, and it's still usable. So that's the other reason, longevity, is that for some reason they seem to last pretty well in these bottles. So yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It's a
Exactly.
fair point about longevity, because you do still see people selling all the old ones from donkeys ago
Yeah.
in car boot sales and war boots, controversy aside from that. And they're opening these things up. They've got to be like 20, 25 years old, and they're still fresh in there.
Yes.
That's an amazing thing, because like you look at some of the more modern bottles, and some of the things go to crap within hours.
Yes, you got to be so careful. You got to seal them up. If you leave them slightly open, that's it. They're rock hard. You got no chance of reanimating it. Yeah, like I say, we were very careful in some respects of the choice of bottle, because we are obviously trying to create these things on a budget originally. We thought, well, if we're going to pass the savings on to the customer, we need something that does the job, but is also cheap, but is not too cheap. So that again, that sort of reflected the price point, and we didn't want to do ourselves out of money either. So it was quite a task developing just the first bottle of paint. Once we'd done that, then we started flying. Once we'd got the labelling right and as well, and the bottle and the actual production process. It just started to. It was quite easy just to suddenly go, do you know what? We need another bottle of paint. Let's develop one. Okay, so Bishback. It's almost like a 3-step process. Charlie develops the paint. I develop the packaging. We then go, right, let's launch a limited number, see how it gets on. If it gets on well, we'll run with it. If not, we'll just keep a limited number in stock until people get bored of it or don't buy it at all, and then we'll just bury it. But that's like most products, is sometimes you just got to suck it and see how far you go with it. And if people like it, they'll buy it. If they don't, they're just, or if they hate it, they will tell everybody under the sun this is dreadful stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, luckily
Graham came back to me with another question. He must have taken his medication today. What products would you avoid like the plague, and what product would you love to add to your range?
What product would I avoid like the plague?
Anything out there you just wouldn't run?
Right. I don't think there's anything we wouldn't run, but one thing we have learnt painfully, I will say, and I can say this generically, is 3D printing miniatures, as in miniature figures rather than 3D printing in general, specifically with resin. Okay. The reason being is we've had a few interesting problems with resin, not least curing it, which when it cures it's fine, but after a while it does go brittle. And the other thing is you can develop allergies off of it. And we've both myself and Charlie have had allergies. I've had eczema, and Charlie has had quite a severe reaction to the resin. So we've actually stopped using it in the office because it was that bad. And it was a question of, well, do you lose a key member of staff, or do you carry on and find someone else? And I thought, no. Partly because Charlie's my sister-in-law, so I can't. Say. But partly because I was coming out in rashes. My neck was like on fire for about 3 months, purely from handling the stuff. So yes, much as I loved my Elegoo, which is an excellent printer, the resins. It's a matter of choice. I personally wouldn't use the resins because of obviously the allergy thing. It's not that the Elegoo is a bad printer. It's not. It's a brilliant printer.
Yeah.
And the resins are good, but they're not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And we are aware that if it's not for everybody, then we shouldn't be really doing resin prints at all. And I know some people have made an absolute fortune out of it, which is fine. It's fair enough. If they're happy doing that and they're making quality miniatures, and we have bought some from some people and painted them up, that's excellent. But not everybody uses a resin printer, and we'd rather do quality PETG prints, which is sustainable. It's the stuff they make milk bottles out of,
Okay.
you know, and it lasts a lot longer. You do a print in PLA, it lasts for a few years, but it'll either become brittle, or if it gets overheated, it starts warping and all sorts after a while, and it eventually decays. Whereas PETG is solid, it's stable, it lasts apparently for about 400 years. But the most important thing is it's recyclable. If you're bored of it after a few years, you can chuck it into recycling. Guaranteed it's going to end up being a milk bottle somewhere, or some other piece of kit for somebody else. So
Happy days.
sustainability is important. Probably now more than ever in this hobby, to be honest.
100%, absolutely 100%. So we like to go off topic a wee bit every so often, well, every podcast, and we like to get to know the real person behind the business, the hobby, the miniatures. So because I've got baked beans stuck in my head and I can't get them out of my head, if you could lose one thing from a full breakfast, be it an English, an Irish, or a Scottish fry, what would you get rid of?
Oh God. Crumbs, that's a difficult one. Having had a couple of fry-ups for the first time in months this weekend, being in Sheffield in a Premier Inn. I can mention that brand because they're quite good. Their breakfasts, it was actually quite going slightly off-piste because it was nice and quiet in Sheffield this weekend. You know, they do their everything as much as you like breakfast usually, because there were so few people in the hotel. They said, "Well, we're not actually serving it this morning. What we'll do is you give us an order, and we'll cook you breakfast." And they actually excelled themselves with the beans and a little skillet and everything. It was perfect. I can't fault it. You know, it's absolutely perfect. If it came to it, you're probably going to hate me for saying this: the beans.
Oh, I don't hate you for it. I don't like
No.
beans. Me and you are in the same party. We're fine.
I love
Yeah,
beans.
I'm fine with the beans, but I'm fine with the beans because you don't know what brand of beans that you're getting, and they're usually lukewarm. I want my beans like lava.
Yeah. I'll tell you who does really decent beans, all bar one. For their
I
breakfast.
haven't been to an all bar one for years. Crikey.
Yeah, they used to do a really nice fry up because I used to go to business meetings in London, and occasionally I'd stop off at all bar one first thing in the morning for breakfast, which did nothing for my waistline. But the weird thing is, you ask for a coffee with it, and they'd serve bloody Smarties at 7 o'clock in the morning with them. It's like, what's that all about? Drop the Smart. Don't get me wrong, I like Smarties, but first thing in the morning, what's that about? It's just bonkers.
I can't answer that one.
Now, Steve, you and the good lady wife are chilling out on a wee Saturday night. You've drank all your non-oil or your Adrax Earthshade, and you're putting your hand out for a wee crisp. What is your preferred crisp of choice?
Oh, now there's a question. Oh God, you make me hungry now. My crisp of choice would probably be Bovril. Bovril
What's a
flavoured crisp.
Bovril crisps?
Yeah, either that
Yeah.
or ham and mustard. You know the ham and mustard ones.
The old
The ones
Brannigan's
that,
ones, yes.
yes, the ones that when you bite them, it tastes really nice, but then your head catches fire. Those ones, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I remember those. I do remember
but
Bovril crisps. So I used to get them from the Freshers down the road from me when I was a kid. You'd
yeah.
sneak in there before the kids weren't allowed in at like 8 o'clock, and you'd buy some Bovril crisps to take home. And it was such a weird thing because I hated Bovril. I hated the drink, but I'd eat the crisps.
I've had to live on it recently, so it's sort of kind of reawoken my my taste for Bovril because obviously dieting. But I don't mind Bovril. But what do you, now this might be a good one. Hedgehog flavoured crisps. Do you remember those?
No. It must be an
No,
English thing.
No,
no.
yeah. In the 70s, it was kind of a gimmicky thing, I think, by Smith's Crisps. They had hedgehog flavoured crisps, which were basically chicken flavoured crisps, but they marketed them as hedgehog. So I think there's the dubious distinction was that some survivalist or somebody of, shall we say, a certain origin said that chicken hedgehog tastes like chicken. So somebody thought, some marketing bod went, I know, that's a good idea. I'll sell hedgehog flavoured crisps. We're talking before Monster Munch. You know, it's just before Monster Munch. They produced these hedgehog flavoured crisps for a little while. They were quite nice.
Let's give them a look.
Yeah, look up hedgehog
Yeah.
flavoured crisps. It was a thing.
See, I remember hedgehog bread as a kid.
Yeah,
It was basically like a roll, but
yeah,
they spiked the edges up and then put two little raisins on it for eyes. And I hated raisins, so I'd always just take the eyes off and just eat this
yeah.
spiky mini loaf of bread that could pierce the roof of your mouth if it was baked too hard. But
Oh, how the other half lived in England, eh? That was poor
I
Scots for
know.
a milk rob for us, Maggie Thatcher, and you're eating hedgehog bread.
yeah, but you're actually eating hedgehogs up there because you've had your milk robbed off you.
Yeah. So you've had your Mankey Bovril crisp with your ham and mustard crisp. What are you washing it down with? What is your alcoholic and non-alcoholic drink of choice?
Right. Alcoholic drink of choice would usually be a glass of red wine. Although lately, I've been favouring white wine. I don't know why. I'm getting more into white wines now as I get older. Probably because it's a bit lighter. Probably because of the richness on my stomach, and I don't know. So I enjoy white wine more than I used to. I do like the odd tot of brandy occasionally, I have to admit, but it's few and far between these days. My non-alcoholic drink of choice, oh God, I do like that San Pellegrino stuff. If you get the
Yes.
orangey one, you know, partly because I try not to drink too many fizzy carbonated drinks these days, so that seems to be like it's not loaded with sugar. It's just a natural fruit juice fizzed up a bit. But I don't mind that. Well, I do still like Coca-Cola.
It's that San Pellegrino. It's like the non-alcoholic version of Peroni. You'll pay over the odds for it, but it's probably just
Yeah.
like fucking Dalton juice and sparkling water. That's
Yeah,
probably what it is.
exactly. But
No,
it's
it's
still
funny
very
you
nice.
say
Still
that.
very refreshing.
The lemon one always just reminds me of sherbet a bit. It's like fizzy sherbet.
Yeah, the blood orange one's nice.
Oh, I need
Let's
to
do
try
that.
that. Need to find
Yeah,
that.
try the blood orange one. So,
So, just for my own personal information, do you mail to Northern Ireland,
sorry?
Do you mail stuff out to people, yeah?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
And you mail to the north of Ireland, Northern Ireland?
We haven't had many going to Northern Ireland yet. I think we've had one order go to Northern Ireland.
Cool.
So
So I live in the Republic, so it's actually easier for me to go and get stuff in the north than getting stuff to the Republic, because then you have to pay custom fees and all that nonsense, and
yeah.
then it arrives with a potato 5 years later. So I'm gonna hand you back over to Casey now.
Yeah. So yeah, when you say you live in the Republic, though, it's easier to say that you live closer to Belfast than you do Dublin sometimes, because people
Yeah,
get a
that's
bit
true.
confused when you say you're going to Northern Ireland to pick something up. And you're like, what? Staying off topic, as we like to do for a little bit. We've obviously talked to crisps of choice, we've talked to snacks of choice and drinks. What do you do when you're not hobbying to unwind? What is your relaxation mode of choice? Are you a film goer, a book reader?
I must admit, I do like sneaking off to see the odd movie on my own in the afternoon sometimes. The last one I went to see was called Warfare. I don't know if you've seen that film.
Oh, was that there's a recent one about Afghanistan, am I right?
That's it.
Yeah.
I think it was the Iraq War, and they got
Mm.
holed up in this house, and they had to be rescued. And I swear, I swear, I came out there with my ears ringing and sort of some sort of faux PTSD. It was a visceral experience. I thoroughly recommend watching that film to see what those guys went through. I couldn't fault the performances. Yeah, an amazing film. And it's like I say, it's nice sometimes just to sneak off on your own and just switch off and immerse yourself in the cinema in the dark. Nobody's there. You can sit there, watch a film for 2 hours, forget everything in the world, and it's brilliant. The only bad experience I had in the cinema, and I'm not talking about Star Trek Nemesis about 20 odd years ago, was it wasn't that bad a film. It just wasn't great. Is No Time to Die. Nobody warned. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it. Yeah, No Time
That's
to
the
Die.
only. That's the only Craig Daniel Craig
Daniel
Bond
Craig,
film.
not Craig David.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say Craig David. Craig David. That's the only Daniel Craig Bond film I'd actually seen. The best bit of that film was Anna Armas. That's hands down the best bit of that film.
The only
That's
one I
probably
didn't go and
about
see.
right, it was a stellar performance, albeit brief and somewhat pointless, to be honest. It's just, like it reminded me of the original Casino Royale film with David Niven. You got a lot of cameos of
Mm.
people for no reason other than to pad it out because all the actors were having paddies. I
Yeah.
don't know if you've heard about what went on the original Casino Royale film in the 60s.
Yeah.
But basically, Peter Sellers and Orson Welles fell out. So they got another James Bond in, David Niven, to orchestrate it. They recut it, they re-edited it. They realised that half the stuff had to end up on the on the cutting room floor. So they added more bits and built it up into this complete and utter farce, which didn't really resemble any Bond film of any kind. But for some reason, it just worked in the end. So yeah, it's
I always remember Woody Allen in that, just spinning around, burping towards the end of the film. It's
quite
surreal.
rough.
Yeah. But I've got this theory, and I don't know if you guys agree with me. That's about Bonds. But the
Yeah.
longer an actor is James Bond, the worse the films get.
Yes.
It is proper like this sliding scale of shite. Like, I mean, apart from maybe Roger Moore, because it's just Roger Moore. He was too old and
Playing
tongue
it
in
for
cheek the whole way through it. But the rest of them, it's all just proper. They just get to the end. They just fall off a cliff towards the end, don't they?
I think with Sean Connery, it was getting obvious towards You Only Live Twice. He was getting tired, and then when George Lazenby came in, he did this amazing film. He was out. To be honest, it was a brilliant Bond. He should have done one more film, but he fell out, and it was just a car crash in that respect. But then when Sean Connery came back for Diamonds Are Forever, it was a good Bond film,
Mm.
but wasn't his best film. So when Roger Moore came in and did Live and Let Die, it was an okay film. Man with the Gold Gun, bit crap. Spy Who Loved Me, brilliant. Moonraker, hilariously crap, although a guilty pleasure, I might admit.
Yeah.
Your Eyes Amy, it's okay. And then you got Octopussy, okay. And then A View to a Kill, which wasn't even an Ian Fleming story, was actually quite good, I thought.
That's one of my favourite Bond films.
Yeah.
I even went to the place up near Horsham, Sussex Way, where they filmed bits of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the old chalk pits. I've been there several times. I used to go through there on a train to work. Roger Moore calls it his least favourite film purely because Christopher Walken was so violent in it and killed all those people with a machine gun. He said, that's not my kind of Bond film. He said, I was glad to be getting out of it by that point, because I think it was about 56, 57 when that was filmed. And so he was older, and his argument was, "I'm a secret agent. Everywhere I go, everybody knows me. I'm sleeping with women half my age," and they go, "Oh, James," and it just getting more and more ludicrous.
What I love about the Roger Moore films myself is he's the only one that never took Bond seriously. There was always
Yeah,
that campiness. So I think
Yeah.
that like, for me, Roger Moore's probably my favourite Bond in that aspect because he just played into the campness of Bond and with the innuendos. He doubled down in the innuendos, whereas if you look at
yeah,
like Timothy Dalton and Pierce Brosnan, and well, I've only watched that one with Daniel Craig and all the Roger Moore ones, there's an era of seriousness about it, whereas there
Mm.
wasn't that with Roger Moore. But mind
yeah,
you, just as a side story, I was watching GoldenEye with my best mate James,
yeah.
and his brother was in the room at the same time, and his mum had just come in, and it was a bit where the lassie dies in it, and then Pierce Brosnan runs up and embraces her as she's dying, and my mate brother, without a drop of a hat, went, "Shag her, James, she's still warm," and his mum was horrified. I was hilarious. I was pissing myself. Just, but like, aye, that's just a wee side story of my Bond experiences.
Yeah.
Who
Well,
would you like to see? Who would you like to see as the next James Bond?
Oh, that's a good
right now
question.
there's a good argument for this. Have you seen Bullet Train?
No.
Yes.
Aaron Taylor Johnson. I know he was in
Yeah.
Kick-Ass as a teenage, should we say, tearaway. But he's actually grown quite well as an actor, and I think given his performance in Bullet Train as one of the thugs, he played it brilliantly. He'd
Mm.
make an excellent Bond.
I don't
He's,
know.
he is,
There's an arrogance about him that when I watched 28 Years Later, I just didn't like. I don't like him as an actor. I think he was good in Kick-Ass and
I
Kick-Ass
think that's
2.
probably the reason. Conversely, I think that's probably the reason he should be a Bond is because he's got that little touch of arrogance. He's got that little bit touch. Because Bond, if you read the books, he's not a very nice bloke, really. He's a solitary creature. He kills people. He's cold. He's an orphan. He's got all sorts of character issues. You know, he's not a nice human being. He's an assassin. At the end of the day, he's a cold-blooded assassin. And
What about
if
you,
you take that
Casey?
into account, he probably needs that certain detachment, that certain arrogance to function as a James Bond.
I'm
So
going to say the same. I think that's a
yeah,
brilliant choice. I think he's young enough to pull it off for a start.
yeah,
Because you look at some of the other options that we've got going on there, everyone's talking about a good choice could be Henry Cavill, but I think he's done too many
yeah.
secret agent-y spy films off the side of other stuff he's done. So I don't think he's got although he's got the upper classness that maybe like a bit of Moore had when Moore was playing Bond. I don't think he's got the grittiness maybe it
No,
needs. So I do agree
he's too
with.
nice.
Yeah, I do agree with Aaron Taylor
Yeah,
Johnson as a choice. I think there's just something about him that he could do the gritty stuff well.
yes.
See, for me, there's an actor who I think he appeared in a Bond film, and I thought if it wasn't Daniel Craig, I think this guy would have been a much better choice. Was Colin Salmon, the guy
Oh,
that was
yes.
he was in Resident Evil and he was in Alien vs Predator, the kind of mixed race actor.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's
He
got that
actually,
suaveness. I think he would have been a brilliant James Bond, and also it would have annoyed people that they were casting a mixed race actor in it. But I
funny
think
enough,
I thought he would have been a brilliant James Bond.
yeah, funny enough, they used to use Colin Salmon as like as the stand-in for Bond when they were doing auditions and things like that. So they used him as like almost like a he was auditioning Bonds with the Broccoli's, and they used him as an example of James Bond. If you see what I mean,
It's
it's
got to
quite
be crap. That
That's
has
an
got to be crap.
amazing.
yeah,
Here's someone that we think who could be Bond but isn't Bond.
yeah.
If you're that actor and you're getting called in to do those sorts of things, you would be kicking yourself. Like, what have I got to do?
Well, it's like Timothy Dalton and Pierce Brosnan. They both got offered it
Mm.
twice.
Yeah.
Timothy Dalton got offered it just after George Lazenby got kicked kicked away, and before Roger Moore, and he turned it down because he was too young. And Pierce Brosnan got offered it, and then the studio wouldn't release him for Remington Steele, so he actually lost out to Timothy Dalton. Strange world. So yeah, I could see it's a funny one. Casting Bond, it's an unenviable task either way if you're a studio. But it's a similar question to Doctor Who. Have they by doing what they did in the last film, have they cooked their own goose?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the Bond that of old. Like, it was definitely, I hate using this word, but it was definitely more woke, and it was definitely very PC.
Yeah.
Some of the things that they did in the last Bond film, but I suppose, what can you do?
Yeah, I think as Steve said though, that he was never a nice guy, and you look back on some of the stuff that even I think it was at least once per Connery film he had to slap a woman for no reason.
Yeah,
I mean, he loved that anyway, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And then I think even in some of the Brosnan ones, I remember he at least killed a woman once, and then he dumped Xenia on top of a big hot plate or something like that and burned her. Or just, all these mad little things that stick in your mind, and you're just like, it's problematic, but you've also got to try and balance it out for modern audiences, haven't you?
Yes.
Do you know how if I could cast something that wasn't Aaron Taylor Johnson, the guy that played Stephen Hawking in that, I think he would be a good Bond. Yeah, I think he would be a good Bond. Could he play that assassin in that Sky One show, the Jackal, really well? He kind of showed a coldness about him, and he's obviously a bit of a posh boy. He's got the accent. I think he would be a good Bond as well. I could see him doing it.
Maybe he's a little. I'm not kidding. He's a bit on the short side though, because all the Bonds have been typically about 6'2" tall. So yeah, I don't know.
It's not for us short people. I couldn't play James Bond.
No.
See South London. That's my problem.
I would do a Wasteland, one and done. You know what I mean? Right. So I think we'll go back on topic for the last 10, 15 minutes, because I think we could talk about Bonds and our favourite Bond villains. Obviously, it's Jaws, for all time's sake. What are you working on this now yourself? Personally, what are you working on painting-wise yourself?
Well, painting-wise, I'm doing a couple of Lehman Russes at the moment. I'm getting my Deathcore of Krieg sorted out slowly but surely. It's slowly. So I've laid down the first lots of paints on those. I've got about 30 or 40 troops all ready to paint up, and a couple of cannons and 5 horses just sitting there waiting to be painted. But my paint jobs tend to take months, if not years now. I've had some squats on the table now for about 2 years that still aren't quite finished, which is a bit embarrassing. But like I say, it's been a busy time, and the transition from being a full-time engineer to a part-time engineer and getting Moonhopper up and running, it does change your priorities somewhat. So
I'm glad that you mentioned the engineer thing, because that was a question I was actually going to ask you. When you're like designing and kind of maybe to a certain extent reverse engineering some products that you want to make better, does the wife turn around and say to you ever, right, that's enough, like you're going too far?
No, she's actually quite good like that. She doesn't tell me off in that respect. She tell me off for everything else, but not in terms of what I'm doing engineering. She may say, right, it's gone midnight. Perhaps it's time to come to bed. I do get that occasionally. She'll come up and see if I'm still alive in the office, But no, generally I don't tend to sort of get that level of scrutiny. Business wise, different kettle of fish. If the wife thinks something's wrong paint wise, or she thinks that could work better, she will tell me, which is good. You sometimes need that second guessing to, if only not just to say, if you're wrong, but that you're doing the right thing. If you see what I mean, it's always good to have a balance. We say a counterbalance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's that like? They always say never work for your family, but what's it like? I mean, the whole business is your family. Like, what's that like when you are like having some downtime, or when you have had a bad day, or you're arguing? Like, how do you disconnect from the business and then going back to being a family?
We don't really argue. I mean, we do argue, but not like that. You know,
But you know what I mean. Though it's like try to get
yeah.
that disconnect. Like you can never have your wife as your boss and then decide to like go home and then you're like,
Well, half the time we don't even work in the same office half the time because the wife's got a very successful career as a commissions painter, which is just basically eclipses my career. Basically, some of the stuff she does is amazing. And she recently won an award at a festival, you know, for best newcomer. So she was like, "Oh, what have we got?" It's like, "Wow," you know. So in that respect, you know, even though we work together, we've also got our separate careers. On my engineering on one side, her commissions painting, and Charlie, the paint pixie, is a very successful, very well renowned jewelry maker. She makes intricate jewelry and little tiny beach pieces, and she actually teaches people how to make them as well. So, you know, we've all got our own separate, distinct orbits. We just sort of cycle around each other. So, a lot of the time, about 3 days a week, I'm on my own in the office. So it kind of works. It's nice, you know. We got enough of a connect and a straight disconnect for it to work perfectly, which is good. You know, Charlie's in the office 2 days a week. She's got other things to do. Rachel pops in once or twice a month, but she'll do stuff at home, and then that means that I can go in the office, do what I need to do in terms of sales, marketing, printing, developing. Charlie can come in, do all the, you know, manufacturing and other bits and pieces, and generally it works really well. You know, it's not a perfect setup. No setup ever is, but it works really well for us.
That's the main thing, Casey.
Yeah, I think just for my own interest as well, obviously, your location, you're right smack bang bottom of the A3. Like I said earlier, you're in between like Portsmouth, Chichester, Southampton, further along. You know, you've got like a almost you're nailed against the south coast. Do you find that that's helpful for you as a business? That you know you've got nice local things and easy range. That you know you've got if you need to go further down along to Brighton, you've got companies down there that you can reach out to and stuff. Or do you feel that sometimes it's a bit like you're looking up at the country thinking, right, how do we get to here? How do we get our products up to there? You know, is it sort of, you know, does it sort of, do you feel limited in your scope being so far
Not
down in the country?
No, not so. If anything, I find it liberating because we are. I genuinely believe that the South Coast is becoming the second lead belt.
Hmm.
There's so many games companies springing up, and so many people developing things, and it is expanding. I mean, some of the local war games groups are getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
You know, the Solent War Gamers, the Haven't War Gamers. In Portsmouth, you've got Battle City Games. There's, you know, it's the hobby is increasing at an exponential rate, especially around here. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if other areas were doing the same. Maybe we won't be another Nottingham or straight Derby, straight Loughborough, but
Mm-hmm.
I think there's enough concentration of gamers and enthusiasts around here for it to actually work quite well. And I think from a local point of view, we're very lucky. We've got some fantastic places like the Warp, um, some phenomenal gamers and hobbyists. And like I say, I like to get out and travel. I personally don't drive a car, which is kind of good in a way because you wouldn't want me on the road. But I love traveling and going on trains places. I mean, like I say, Sheffield was an adventure for me. You know, getting out and about, going actually meeting gamers, having fun gaming for a change, as opposed to, you know, trying to sell stuff. You know, it's refreshing. And likewise, I'm going up to Nottingham next week to do more of the same. And I say, you get out and about, you meet people, and that's the whole point of gaming: is you meet people like yourself. You 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 play games with people like yourself. You're thinking in the same sort of mindset as people like yourself. It's kind of comforting and refreshing to know that you're not alone, which this hobby is good at. It's very good at making you feel welcome, which is really ironic considering what the subject of the actual subject and nature of the gaming is to actually go out and destroy each other. You know, it's the paradox. It's like, hello, live with my friends. Yes, please. Okay, right. I'm going to blow you up now.
Well, it's totally true what you say.
Sorry?
I mean, it's totally true what you say. Like, I mean, I know I keep saying this, and for people that don't know, like, me and Casey don't know each other. We've never met each other. We connected over a painting competition on Instagram, and then we started this podcast 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2
2
over
years ago.
2 now, over 2. And it's just funny how these things work out. Like, there's people that I meet up with every once in a blue moon. Love people that where I now live. I think Martin might still be in the chat if you're in there. Hello, mate. He's introduced me to his mates, and there's just other people around that I know through doing this and doing stuff. It is a great unifier in that respect that 20, 30 years ago you'd have to go into a store to do it, and now because of the internet it's blown it all up and everything. I think one other question I had for you, and this always interests me, as a smaller brand, have you got any sort of plans to expand into, I know obviously you do like your small local companies, but trying to get into some of the slightly larger national chains, or do you have any plans to go to any sort of trade conventions at any point?
We'll probably do some trade conventions next year. We are very much of the opinion that we're a soft sell. We ourselves don't like the hard sell, sort of like, you know, buy our stuff, buy our stuff, buy our stuff. Most gamers don't like that. Most traders who go into trading that sort of, the wargaming stuff, materials, don't like that approach either. You know, so it's a tricky one. Business to business, it's very much a soft sell. It's like, hello, here we are. We've got this. If you're interested, contact us. Bye. We're not sort of like, you know, buy our stuff now. It's not like, it can't be like that because you'll only just put people off. So we like to think we're approachable, and that's been borne out by the number of trade account people that have actually approached us from all walks of life. And that's the other thing about this hobby, is it's for people of all walks of life.
Yeah.
Especially in this day and age, you know, this Trumpstonian era where, you know, let's just shout everybody down. You know, it's awful. It's awful to watch. It's disparaging to see, actually. You know, after all these years, where human race seems to have made such progress in terms of tolerance and acceptance, that all of a sudden you've got people just trying to hammer everything all down again and just hammer the minorities into submission. It's just heartbreaking. So this is why this hobby is so important. It's because it is all inclusive. You know, it accepts everybody.
Yeah.
And it's so good for mental health as well. Like, I know, like, last Friday was Mental Health Awareness Day. Like, it is so good for, like, mental health, wellness, and just being able to do half an hour glazing a model just for that escapism. If you're stuck indoors and it's absolutely belting down with rain a day, I mean, that half an hour to yourself could be a lifesaver.
Yes. Absolutely, it is one of the. It's weirdly, if you're one of these people who loves listening to the rain, you know, and just painting away and just hearing the rain in the background, it's just, there's nothing like it. It's weird. It's such a simple pleasure, but people don't appreciate how good for the soul it is. Yeah, and yeah, until people try it or people do it, they don't realise that. You know, it's like people reading a book, or knitting. You know, it's whatever your thing is, and if you enjoy it, you should embrace it. You know, and sometimes people get to a point in their lives where they're so stressed by everything else, they forget to embrace the simpler pleasures in life. You know, and this hobby actually does get you to a point where it's almost like meditation. You know, when you're painting something, it's almost like meditation. It's like you're in the zone. Nothing else matters. Just switch off. You're concentrating on this, concentrating on that. You can lose whole hours quite happily. Days.
Or
Days.
days and days. And phone calls for your wife because she needs water in her bed and all that sort of. So this is going to be my last question for you for this next up. I think the case and I will both say that we're going to definitely have you back on.
Yes.
Next year at some time, because like you're probably definitely, I just want to see you grow and grow. So my last question to you before I pass you over to Casey: do you wish you had done this earlier?
God, yes. I wish I'd done it 20 years ago. It's one of those things. It's better late than never sometimes.
That's good.
Casey?
That is brilliant. I think my last question for you would be, where do you see yourself this time next year?
Hopefully a bit bigger, bit better off. With more products, we're launching more products nearer Christmas time because we're redoing our catalogue. We actually do a physical catalogue as well, so you can actually we do send it out when we send out our packages on the bigger ones, because what we decided this time round, we're going to make a smaller catalogue with the same amount in it, so we can get it in more packages. Because at the moment we've got an A5, which is nice. You know, you flick through it like the old Lego catalogue.
Yeah.
It's going, oh, I want that, I want that, I want that. But the trouble with that is you can't get it into half the parcels that we send out, because some of the parcels we send out are that big.
Yeah.
So unless you fold it up and wrinkle it up into a ball and then just chuck the paint out and just send them that, no point, you know. So we want something a little bit smaller, a little bit more compact. So the next catalogue's going to be about A7 size. So yeah,
But that,
sorry.
That in itself is quality, because a catalog is such a tangible thing. It's great that you can sit there and scroll online and doom scroll, but you forget sometimes what you're looking for. So if you've got a physical thing in your hand,
that's it.
It's. I know a lot of people might turn their nose up and be like, "Why do I need that when I've got the internet?" But at the same time, you still pick up the Argos catalog when you see it.
Yeah, the laminated Book of Dreams, wasn't it? Bill Bailey. Funny enough.
And then
sorry,
on your row, Steve.
Sorry. Yeah. I was going to say the other reason for the catalogue. We had a business many years ago that was selling lab equipment, and we're trying to do it online, and it failed. And the reason it failed was because people who buy lab equipment want to see it in a catalogue. They don't want to see it online. They want to see it in a catalogue. And that's why we brought the catalogue in for Moonhopper, because, yeah, it's all very well having a website, but people, like you say, like to thumb through a catalogue. They like to see what they're doing. It's like when we were kids. You remember you used to go to the toy shop, and if you couldn't afford toys, you get the Action Man catalogue or the Lego catalogue or the Matchbox catalogue, and you go, right, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that. It's that sort of mentality. People like to have a look at a catalogue, and if they've got a catalogue already and they, you know, they've read it, they'll pass it to their mates. Say, "Yeah, look at this, look at the catalogue. Oh, wow, I haven't seen that before. I'll have that. I'll have that. I'll have that." People love you're right. People love a catalogue, and that's why we do it.
You say my lad still loves picking up the Lidl book on the way out of the shop, so and that's just got fruit and veg in it. So there you go.
Brilliant.
So just before we go, Steve, where can people find you? This is your time to shout yourself out, or anybody you want to give a shout out to promote on your own.
Right, okay, right. Well, we're Moonhopper Games, as everybody's probably now aware. You can find us at www.moonhopper-games.com. We're on socials, so we're on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky Social, because we don't do the old birdie one anymore. We're on YouTube and TikTok if you want to look us out, and we do have a Pinterest feed. So check us out, look us up. If you like what you see, we'll be more than happy to help you.
Well, we'll be subscribing to your YouTube later on, and I'll be tagging you so that when we upload this to YouTube, then your episode will be on your tube and our tube at the same time.
Your tube and our tube, love that.
Casey, any final words of wisdom from yourself tonight?
Nah, I'm spent.
Cool. Folks, we are back with episode 100 next week. There's going to be a chaos show. So it'll be me, Casey, and maybe our auditor, which we've now got an auditor to verify any guests, to make sure that any future guests that we've got on don't have any dodgy past within the hobby community towards anybody really. So we'll have hopefully they'll be joining us. But feel free, everybody, to request to join in. We'll give you 5-10 minutes to swag us off or ask us questions or just talk about yourself, and then that'll be us next week, folks. Steve, an absolute pleasure having you on. Thanks so much for
Thank you very much.
giving us your time.
Thanks for having me.
As well, and we'll definitely reach out to you to get you back on, mate. Have a lovely rest of your day, folks.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah, Steve. Thank you very much, mate.
Bye. Bye.